And we are live. You are live. We are live. Well, what can we say about that then? That was. Let's talk about some of the headlines first. Well, let's see who's in the house. Sinn Féin's in the house. Yawn. Yep, that was born. Vincent O'Brien, Hail Hail from Andalusia. Absolutely awful, terrible performance at home. Lorna Gallagher, that was shocking, wasn't it? It was terrible. Lowell's at the wheel telling me how bad does it feel. I don't even want to tell you how bad it feels. It feels absolutely. From treble winners to not able to beat the poorest team at home. Make no sense to me, says Lorna. Hey, well, Trips, that was rubbish today, says Robert. Dan says, the only thing I look forward to when Celtic play is Bad's reaction. Good. It's going to be put your seatbelt on because you're in for a damn good. I'm not going to say that. You're not. This is going to be some show tonight. Can't wait. I've not even put. I'm sick of the happy clappers. Yes. I'm saving the happy clappers. The people that say, "Don't worry, it'll be fine. Trust in Brendan. Brendan, you've got." And I'm not even going to start. That was absolute ridiculous. Dreading next week, says Craig Gilmer. Yep. This is Brad. Brendan came here for retirement. Hopefully the board heard the boos. Let's talk about that. But first of all, let's talk about the Green Brigade. Green Brigade put up a banner this afternoon talking about. I was going to put a poster up. I seen the banner got sent it. They killed their club. They're killing their dream. Bring back away allocations. And I'm going to be honest. I think that banner. I wouldn't have put it up. Let them. That's like you're begging. Nah. Let's move on. Let's move on for that. I'm not in a mood to talk about absolute nonsense tonight. We need to get right in it. Shocking, man. Injuries play their part. Right. They do, but the squad needs to step up. Squad needs to step up. The one player that was absolutely fantastic for us was Yang. Absolutely. Right. No. Brendan's not getting to miss this. Brendan's not getting to miss this one. Right. Bringing Kyogo back and playing Kyogo deeper in the midfield is wrong. Completely wrong. Sort it, Brendan. Absolutely sort it. There is absolutely no need for Kyogo to be dropping as deep as that. No need whatsoever. There's no need whatsoever to bring Kyogo that far back into the park. We're letting their defence move up. We're not kicking the ball out quick enough. Where did we start? You know, the guys in the pub. I mean, I was going to get Tomo to talk about it, and it's like I had a word with Tomo after the game, and it was like, nah, we're not even going to put this on YouTube, mate. We're going to keep it between ourselves. But he did have a little video for us, and I'll pause it. So Tomo will be on the channel tomorrow. Alan Thompson, what a player he was! How we could have done with him today, running down that wing. Because let's face it, I think the only person that got pass marks today was Matt O'Reilly. For me, Matt O'Reilly got pass marks. Matt O'Reilly was playing box to box the first half. He was doing everything was going through Matt O'Reilly. Callum McGregor again was getting man marked. And I'm not even, looking at Tottenham today. I don't see if the first next person that mentions Tottenham is getting banned. Because I don't care about Ange fucking Postecoglou. He's gone. Forget about it. Move on. Right? We need to deal with this nonsense and the mess that he left. And calm. I know. Their goalie was a pain in the arse. Yes, he was. He was. He was really good. Maybe we should sign him. Maybe we should just sign every keeper in the SPFL and do what we did to Benji Siegrist. And calm. Far too slow, terrible card. Right, we'll talk about the tactics, Jimmy. I'm going to get... Yep, Tam, that is it. I'm that close to break. Their keeper was man of the match. Of course he was. Their keeper was man of the match. Let's get some of the banners up. I don't know, play moves. Oh, there we go. I'm not here. Papa Francesco. It's not the day for that, is it? Definitely isn't the day for that. Right. Banners. That's what I'm looking for. Hoopsmerch.co.uk. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Right, where do we go from here? Because let's face it, we get beat next week. We've allowed them to go top of the league. All we had to do was to win today. All we had to do was win. And that made sure that win, lose, or draw next week, well, if we win, we're then 6 points in front of them. We are now in a position where if they win, they go 2 points in front of us. Is that acceptable? No, it's not. No, it's not. Need to give the players a boot up that Jaxie says, Lorna, chill pill for Baz, please. Don't give yourself high blood pressure. It's all right. I have my watch on and my blood pressure is it's only 100. That's cool. It's cool. It's not over 100. It's 100 now, 101. No, it's at 99. Yeah, it's what calms back down. Everyone's good. Get rid of the Scottish players. They're garbage. Nowhere near good enough. And Rodgers looks comfortable with his expensive contract. I don't think he does. Guys were talking about this in the pub, and we decided not to record what was said in the pub, purely for the fact that Rodgers doesn't look the same manager as he was the first time. When you look at his interviews, when you look at his press conferences, he's not as enthusiastic. He knows this squad is nowhere near where he thought it would be. He knows that he's come into a squad, and it's never been nowhere near as what he thought it was going to be. Nowhere near. And I reckon that, and there was some nonsense. Let's read some of the headlines. Obviously, there was, and this is, the headlines are going to go with this tomorrow, right? The boos after the game, that was from all around the ground, right? But the headlines will go to the Green Brigade. The headlines will go that there was 100, and it was only about 100 fans after the game, right? There was 100 Green Brigade fans, members that give the team absolute pelters after the game, and Brendan Rodgers. And Radio Scotland reported that, as I would say, I guess most of it is directed at the manager. If you remember, some sections of the port weren't enamoured with the appointment of Brendan Rodgers, and it was certainly felt this afternoon as they failed to clinch 3 points. They also went on to say that I just watched the Celtic manager and player do what they normally call see this doing a lap of honour when you draw. And Joe Hart after the game, Joe Hart's waving and smiling. Sorry, Joe Hart, right? But I'm not joking. I'm not kidding here, right? You should not be walking around after a game like that, after a performance like that. You had nothing to do the whole game, and you're walking about smiling up at your fans, blowing them kisses and whatever. You don't do that. Head down, get off that pitch with embarrassment. We just drew against the bottom team in the league. John, I honestly think that Brendan he seen Ange do a double with that team, right? He seen that team do the double. Let's face it, they won a treble last year, right? You're coming into a team that, on paper, from the outside, this is maybe why Brendan had the meeting with Callum McGregor at Callum McGregor's hotel in Mallorca, and had a 3-hour lunch with Callum McGregor and asked him exactly, look, give me the ins and outs of the club. Give me the ins and outs of the players and where the players are at. Give me the ins and outs where you feel the club needs to go. Because it's okay coming into a team that's won trebles, but it's Scotland, right? And for Brendan to then come out and say, I think he said today, I need to look at the headlines, but I think he said today that there's a hangover from a treble. Brendan, right? I thought you'd been watching Celtic the past couple of years. We won more than the one treble that you won. We won quite a few trebles over the last couple of years since you left. So let's just say, anyway, let's get some. He's an overpaid coach, says Kieran Forrest stole a wage for too long. The fact that you're having to look at Leicester, yep, their keeper was meant to do. Yeah, you've got to give. We said before the game, right? We said last night. I said, I mean, I went for 4-0. What a ridiculous scoreline I thought it was going to be. when you look at the way that any team in Scotland's going to play against us now, right? And teams in Scotland are now making Scottish football the most boring frigging league in the world to watch. I'm going to start watching more Spanish football just to get my football buzz and feel some actual goodness about the game again. It's early season, right? And will we turn it around? Did you honestly think, Richard, come on, with that team, do you honestly think that we're going to get a performance in Ibrox next week? Really? Do you really think that we're going to get a performance at Ibrox? Who was it that said that? Richard Smith. Turn it around and put in a performance. Do you really think so? We should have been putting in a performance at our own ground. The fans did their bit at the end of the game. The fans did their bit for the majority of the game. And then as it got close, I mean, to be fair, Brendan made a good few changes because he knew that it just wasn't happening. Playing from the start of the game, his tactics are wrong for me now. Right? Now, I was one that says, right, yeah, it is good that he's back, right? It's, here we go. Brendan in for 10 in a row, right? No, he's not. Brendan will be here 3 years. Brendan will be lucky to be here in a year's time if he keeps playing the way that we were. I don't think it has to be the system. Keeper is average. Fullbacks are rubbish. Midfield balance isn't right. The wingers can't beat a man. And Kyogo is at the halfway line. Exactly. Fans anger so-called professional football players that haven't got the fight. Yep. Bernabe played 15 minutes. David Bernabe's played 15 minutes of the season. Like, come on, stop. Shitter, come on. Don't be calling people names like that. There's no need for it. We can all disagree. The board are to blame. Lawwell. Everyone on this channel knows my brother and everybody knows my thoughts on Peter Lawwell, and he should never have been back at this club. Never. Joe Hart doesn't like Celtic. I'm beginning to think that Joe Hart doesn't like Celtic. I think he's just here for a jolly and put it on his CV that he played for Celtic. I'm now thinking that we need really. I mean, I've been saying I've tried to defend Joe Hart. I have tried to defend Joe Hart. Joe Hart got us a point today. Any good keeper would make these saves. Any good keeper. Safeguard garbage. We'll still pump them. Do you think same tactics the last time he was here? Yeah, except with a worse team. We had a few clear-cut chances. O'Reilly was immense today. Right? People are saying that O'Reilly needs to go. The way that O'Reilly is now turning into a box-to-box midfield player, he reminds me of a really young and rough Scott Brown. And that's what he was like. They're trying to turn him into that type of player, which I think could be good for Matt as a player. He got back and he made a clearance back in our own box. Get Hart out. Yep, a point. I got that in Dublin. I had more points. On my UK driver's license when I had one. And now I don't have one. I have a Spanish one. Thank goodness. Anyway, Kyogo doesn't know his role. He doesn't. He's coming far too back. And I noticed that they made a change, the tactics towards the end of the game, and they pushed Kyogo up against the defenders. That's where Kyogo plays. He plays off the back in the defence. Vincent O'Brien, we will beat them. Do you really think so? There's one thing about the game next week, and we can all be sure of, is they won't sit in and they won't sit back and defend. They'll have a go at us, right? This nonsense in Scottish football, yeah, it's okay to go to Celtic Park. It's okay when Celtic come to play. We'll sit back and we'll not cross the halfway line. Right? I'm going to get the stats up. Let me just close down some windows because we've got far too many open. Right, let's see what Brendan said after the game, actually, because we never got it. The manager gets where the Green Brigade are coming from. His team failed to produce the goods for a second time in succession. He told the BBC Radio Scotland, he says, I totally understand it. Now, remember, Brendan, the boos did not just come from the Green Brigade section. The boos came from right around that stand, the stadium, right? Why does the manager not see that with Kyogo? I think, Jim, the way that he's trying to get the team to play is a bit different from Ange. Whereas the only godsend that we've got, right, is we're not playing that stupid Joe Hart kicking the ball out to the defenders wide and trying to pull the teams out. On the flip side of that, teams are then sitting back, right? So you can understand that the way that Ange played was to get the keeper to kick the ball out sidewards to the defenders, and it would give us all heart failure. It would give us absolute heart failure, right? Kalmack was man marked out of the game again today, David, and that's what allowed Matt O'Reilly to have a bit of space. Yeah, there we go. There's a zombie in the house. Treble what? Let's start banning them. Ban and delete user. I've not put anything on, so it's good to see them coming on. I want to see them coming on because I want to annihilate them. Remember where you came from. We decide when you can talk, right? We decide. Anyway, also agree. But God, players find space. Good players find space. Yeah, they do. They do. They do that. Joe Hart is your pal. Joe Hart's not our pal. Not a chance. Not a chance. Whack a hun a day today. Yep. It's always free. Zombies don't live forever. Just saw the group. Don't worry. Soldier at the ready. Lanky's in the house perfectly. Just had a perfect Lanky. Brilliant. Right. Let's get on to see what more the Sevco are worse. Right. Celtic failed to score for a second consecutive game today against St Johnstone. Let's face it, the game could have went on for days and we wouldn't have scored. We haven't found the way to dominate games. And you have to say, though, their keeper was absolutely immense. Matt O'Reilly was unlucky. I mean, Matt O'Reilly was unlucky that the keeper dived and managed to hit it with his feet. I think Lanky says our fans need a reality check, in my opinion. Lanky, do you still think that Brendan's the man for the job? I'm just waiting to the Champions League draw once the window shuts. And let me just say, yeah, I'm dreading the Champions League draw as well. Brendan's stubborn and he'll go down with the ship. Well, do you know what? I think the board won't take as long to act. Yeah, I don't think. I was on Twitter this morning and the news was bad. I was injured. Yeah, you need to keep up. You need to stay off Twitter. Bring back Jota now. There was a guy arguing with me in the pub. It was like, all you YouTubers need to get together and force the club to bring back Jota. And I'm like, we can't afford his 200 grand wages. And he was like, I thought they had. I bet you want Man United now. Yeah, I'd want Man United. Yeah, get Rodgers out. It started. I love Brendan. He hasn't learned a thing from 4 years ago, playing the same old boring passive side with football. We bring him back and we'll never know. I think it's easy playing for the couch. It's easy playing for the couch and it's easy playing for the stands. I think it is always easy to talk about when a team sit back and never move forward. Yeah, well, Baz, would you bring in a new manager? No, I wouldn't bring in a new manager. No, I would give him at the end of the season. And if things don't improve, there's no way that he'll be here for 3 years. Do you think Yang is as good as Jota replacement? Yang's a bit younger and he looks it does look as if he's got it. He's a bit raw. And it's this Celtic thing about bringing in a player that's a little bit younger but just as good. You've seen what Yang can do with the ball, but he's not a Jota. He's not a Jota. But you have to remember as well, he's new to European football. He's new to Scottish football. Jota had played for Benfica. He had played in the B team in Portugal. He knew the European style of playing. So trying to compare the two players is Brendan's too methodical. Yes, he is. Lanky, nice to see you with your spanner. We are top of the league. Yeah, we are top of the league, but is dropping 2 points at home, is that acceptable to a team that's bottom of the league that hadn't even had a draw in the first 2 games of the season? You try to tell me that is acceptable. I mean, we're unlucky in front of goal the first half. The board is the problem. Is it the board or is it the person that has came back and that is telling us not to spend? It was interesting, right? Because I watched, just out of curiosity, I did watch an Ange Postecoglou interview from this week, and he spoke about the fact that why aren't Tottenham? He was asked the question, why are Tottenham going out and spending 50 million to 100 million on players? And he said, when you look at it, and he was talking about the guy that they tried to get for Celtic, but they ended up going for Rio. And he said, when you look at it, he says there's a player. This guy came on for against Postecoglou, and his first game, he was just out of university, and the guy annihilated Postecoglou's team. Right, and he says if this guy ever gets to the English Premiership, he'll rip it apart, which seemingly he's going to do. Matteo or something. They tried to get him for Celtic, but Brighton beat them to it. He said he doesn't believe that if you look where other managers aren't looking, you could find out that you can find players that are just as good that are coming through. I mean, look at that guy Matteo now. He's worth about 50 million, and he came for university 3 years ago. So where do we go from here? I don't think it's Brendan's fault, to be honest. Too many injuries, leaving players leaving, etc. But I think when he gets the players he wants and fit, will be okay. We've got 4 days. We've got 4 days to make it okay. 4 days to make it okay before the transfer window shuts. We've got players that have to come in this weekend. Their keeper got away with time wasting. It did, Helen, but do you know what? There was a couple of decisions that the ref, and you're thinking, we're not going to get it off them this year. We're not going to get it, So we can't complain about it. It's happened for a long, long time. That boy band was feels what? Sinn Féin chocolate. Right. You must be Northern Irish. Why you love Brendan so much? Me? Who? Who are you talking about? I don't love Brendan. Anyway, be nice to each other or I'll start banning people because that's the mood I'm in. Window shuts midnight Friday. Yes. And we must admit their keeper was decent. And it was deep. Yeah. Right. Let's get back to see what was it a lethargic performance from us today? I thought we played well the first half. We were unlucky in front of goal. Matt O'Reilly for me was a massively improved player this week. Massively improved. The referee getting in the way of the game. The referee being in the position was terrible. And when we were trying to pass the ball forward and he's in the way and then he gives it a drop kick, you're like, nah. The transfer window so far hasn't solved any problems. Right, let's look at players that we played today. Ralston, not good enough. Scales, too hesitant going forward and unable to put a good pass. I thought Lager, Gustav, his crossing was good. Forrest, it's unbelievable that we're still having to rely on James Forrest in this day and age when we should have been, James should be a player that would come on and gets the last 10 minutes of the game, not when we're struggling. Haksabanovic, do you know, where do we place him just now? I mean, Brendan Rodgers he's finding himself under unbelievable pressure now, and it's a pressure that he never had the first time around at Celtic. It's definitely I just got it today by listening to the Radio Scotland, and Packy was the commentator. Reminded me of 2020. Says B. Scale does my head in. I think so. They ain't got a clue, the players. Does any of us? If I'm being honest, I think Celtic will get relegated. Shut up. No, they'll not. Talk sense. Lanky, I said last year, I think Hacksaw could be decent in the 10 role. He could be, but he's obviously not getting enough games. Give me another 5 minutes. And I'm going to look at some of the other headlines that are coming. Brendan Rodgers on the Green Brigade. And he reckons that we needed to slow the tempo. A stalemate. Rodgers responds to a chorus of boos after the St Johnstone draw. Like, if we, for me, the Green Brigade have done two things that, well, they've done one thing today that I don't agree with. Now, and I've always backed the Green Brigade, but I think that banner, putting the banner up today saying bring back the away allocation, is almost like begging to them. Right? I mean, the banner said they killed their club, they're killing the derby, bring back the old allocations. That's almost like begging for tickets. We should never be begging for tickets for them. We should never, never. They're killing the derby. So what? Let them kill the derby, right? With regards to the boos came from all around the stadium. The media are going to go on the fact that it was the Green Brigade that booed booed the team and the manager. It wasn't. They boos for right around the stadium. Was about the son who left. You should have hired an up-and-coming manager instead of a deadwood manager with the same old tactics. I know well, look at the Newcastle manager. We waited about and waited about and waited about and waited about for months for him. And because Celtic, in their wisdom, says that he wasn't getting to bring his own backroom staff, decided, I'm not going to take the Celtic job then. And then we get in Ange Postecoglou. So getting an up-and-coming manager is one thing. Getting a manager, Ange had one thing on his mind for Celtic. Come into Celtic and do two things. Win the league, win a treble, move to England. That's three things, I know. But and that's all that was on his mind, right? He had a game plan. You bring what up and coming manager are you talking about? Bringing in a UK? Is there any Scottish up and coming managers that could do the Celtic job? It's far too early to be talking about it. My mate Bodo guy looked perfect. May as well use a jetty. Jesus. Anyway, the Brendan appointment was so stupid. Look at what happened to Lenny when he came back for the second time. To be fair, Lenny should have walked after the 9 in a row season. He should have walked. And we all knew that. When Lenny got offered the job full time, fans were devastated. Devastated. Absolutely devastated. Anyone could get into Celtic better than Rodgers. He's so uninspiring. So uninspiring, says David. Right. What do you think about the banner and about the fact that they killed their club, they're killing the derby, bring back old allocations? To me, it's not I don't think it was the most sensible banner to put up because it is like we're almost begging them to get the allocations back. We should not be begging them for anything. When it comes down to the booing, that was right round. It said Brendan Rodgers deemed it unsatisfactory today. Well, he also said that anything less with a win would be unsatisfactory. Unfortunately, Rodgers, it was unsatisfactory. The board have lots to answer to. Rodgers will be lucky to see Christmas. If we go into the Champions League and we get results like what they did, and Brendan I trust, well, you're probably going to be one of the very few if results keep on going away. Lenny would have been raked for leaving on the 10. No, he wouldn't. I think he could have walked out with his head held high. His head held high because he knew that he was coming in just as a short-term fix. If he thought he was coming in anything more than a short-term fix, he got it all wrong. We need to get off Brendan's back. Lorna, I've tried to stay off Brendan's back and I've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt due to injuries, due to bringing in, and I'm starting to, it's becoming like a political force. There we go, Angelo. A couple of pints from them to cheer me up. Yes, it might do. And I'll probably need them tonight. And the missus have just got all dressed up and I'm sitting here in my Celtic top. Anyway, right. Tell them to shove their tickets up the sun. Exactly. That is my thoughts exactly. Putting a banner up saying bring back the old allocation, they're going to be loving that. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for the Green Brigade, and I love everything that they've done. This channel was built up on the Green Brigade, so and I back everything that they say and do. But I think that banner today was probably one of the wrong banners to put up, unfortunately. We'll win the derby, or Roy will take that part. Roy Rogers, booing the team isn't going to get us anywhere, says Kieran. Oh, my, Kieran. You've obviously never been a Celtic fan where they have really booed the fans. Anyway, I'm going to see the Greengrocers. Enjoy your weekend. Don't forget about hitting the like buttons. Lanky, have a great afternoon. But been on for 30 minutes. Keno, not Roy Keane. No way. We do hear more here, not at the games. Kieran, I've been a Celtic season ticket holder for a long time. It's only since I moved here 2.5 years ago that I stopped going to games due to travel restrictions. And I could tell you, people at the games moan like heck. And it is called frustration. Everything played through skills today. Brendan Rodgers could be under pressure if we lose next week. I don't think he'll be under pressure just yet, but I think what will happen will be that if we lose next week, and then we'll give him the benefit of the doubt if he gets in 4 players in the transfer window, and it depends on the players that we get in. If we're going in and if we don't go in and if we don't spend £20 million next week, we're goosed. Because I think it's going to take £20 million worth of players to actually make us a better team. Understand the frustration, but we need to keep the faith. We do need to keep the faith, but that was unacceptable today. I've defended Brendan as much as I can, and this side passing, thank you, Chris Harkins, simply not good enough. Going from treble winners to a draw with the mighty St Johnstone, Brendan tactics are bringing us backwards, not forwards. That's exactly what I was talking about, Chris. When the passing back, and this is the difference between Brendan's way of playing and Ange Postecoglou's way of playing, right? Ange Postecoglou give us the fear because he would have the goalkeeper out, he'd have the 2 defenders, the microphone's the keeper, right? And he would have the ball going out this way. Right along, the board spent 20 million players and get you 10 players. They probably would, Portugal. That's how embarrassing they are. They probably would go out and spend 20 million and bring in 10 players. Right now, and they're talking about the tactics. Ange give us the fear because he had the ball passing out. Now, Joe Hart didn't like playing that game, that type of football. He likes it when the ball's out in front of him. Brendan likes pushing against teams, right, and passing about their box. But the difference is, Ange Postecoglou, his first season, the movement in the box from our forwards and our wingers was unbelievable. There's no movement. When they're sitting with 2 banks, a bank of 4 and a bank of 5 or whatever, they're sitting with 2 banks of players and they're sitting in there. They're sitting there. There's no movement from our players. We're expecting the people outside the box to try and get a pass into somebody's feet, and it's not working. It's not working at all. We need to get movement, and I don't know what's happened at Celtic to stop the movement. It kind of stopped under Ange as well. Teams were sitting back too far, and it's killing the game. That's a great result for them. They've got 1 point. Woohoo! We've won the one. Hey, empty glass for 1 point. Yeah, that's what you get for 1 point. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Do you know what I mean? You can get 1 point all season. That's what you'll end up with at the end of the season. Right. Anyway, it's flat. Craig Gordon was woeful. Yeah, he was. Craig Gordon was. Brendan's not made any signings. He's not yet. James. What's funny? Right. I'm going to start banning folk. I'm not. Right. Let me see if there's any more Celtic. See the crazy Celtic headlines. Celtic in choppy waters ahead of Brendan trip, despite on the one bright spark against St Johnstone. The bright spark against St Johnstone for me was Yang. Let's try and take the positives out of the game. Yang played really good. I thought that he could turn out to be a really good player for us. Matt O'Reilly was at points unplayable. At points, and I'm going to say that. I'm going to say Matt O'Reilly today at points was unplayable, and he showed the type of player that he could be. If you really want to ban me, don't say that's all as the red. I don't know. Right, unrecognizable from last season. I think Villa Hubs gives us a look at what is waiting in the Champions League. Yep, keep a clean sheet, Baz. Are we going to keep a clean sheet against them? O'Reilly was awful, missed 2 sitters. Come on, you're not giving any credit to their goalkeeper at all, Tom. You're not giving any credit to their keeper at all, right? Their keeper played an absolute blinder. Matt O'Reilly, the first half, was a complete box-to-box player, right? He put in tackles in the box to stop them, and then he was up in their box. So come on, he was awful. That's a bit harsh, if you ask me. It's just my opinion. You've got, for heaven's sake, it was St Johnstone, not Barcelona. A squad of players should beat them. Exactly. Even Dom would have scored that. This word unplayable. Ha! Right. That's what Hart actually saved us from defeat. Any keeper. Look, Scott Bain would have saved them today. Scott Bain. He missed 2 shots. He missed 2 sitters. You can look at it for whatever point. They played their keeper played a blinder today, right? I've seen Kyogo miss easier chances than what Matt O'Reilly did today. So anyway, Brendan needs to give one big hand a call for some pointers. McGregor went back to mocking players instead of tackling them. Yep. O'Reilly played great, but if he's getting into positions, he needs to be more clinical. Yes, he does. He needs more players around about him. The keeper is worth a few quid. yeah. I tell you, sign their keeper. 18 corners. And we are, for seasons now, we have never been good at scoring corners. We've no height in the team. No height against the team. Right, let's see what other Celtic news is there. Let's see what, makeshift defence. Let's face it, Liam Scales, he was unconvincing. Liam Scales was totally unconvincing. He last played for Celtic in a defeat away to Bobo Glint, 2-0 defeat. He's definitely not what we need at Celtic. We need to make sure that players that come in this week fit right into this first team, because we are onto an absolute tanking in the Champions League. You look at Gustav, right? Played alongside him, making only his second appearance since joining. There were a bit shaky moments at the back with him, but I think some of his crossing was good. Some of his diagonal passes were good. Alistair Johnson making a first team start after his ankle injury. That's a positive to take from it. The fact that we're missing 4 centre halves is just is getting to us. But we shouldn't be in that position. The Bulgarian keeper that they've got, right? Why are we not picking up goalkeepers like that instead of Scott Bain and Benji Siegrist? Anyway, we've all had our say. Let's talk about it tomorrow evening when everything's calmed and we're not as excited. We're not excited. We'll get pumped at Ibrox, says Stephen Kelly, leading by example. But under Ange, he was not the king. Bring back a competitive McGregor. Joe Hart made a few great saves, to be fair. Centre halves have nothing to do with it. We were camped in their half. This is true. Right, big shout out today goes up to 2 absolute stars. Angelo, couple of pints, and that's what I'm going for now. Purely just to get and not even think about this game anymore. Think about it tomorrow morning. We'll do the video and then we'll talk about it live. 6 p.m. Celtic Park time tomorrow. Chris Harkin, he says it's simply not good enough. Going from treble winners to draw with the mighty St Johnstone. Really, Brendan Rodgers' tactics are bringing us backwards, not forwards. And I completely agree with them. So enjoy your night tonight, Celtic fans. Don't get too upset about it. It is only a game. We only dropped 2 points. We only got put out of the cup last week. And on that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world. Roll up to the party, roll up to